How's everybody doing today?
Awesome.
Great. Jody Coke chimes in. Thank you so much. Anybody else? How are you doing? Seen Wendy Trush in the office. Trush, excuse me. I don't know why I want to add an H. I guess
Everybody does.
I want to add an H. Everybody doing well this morning? Everybody good? We got a busy meeting today. So if you don't mind, Miss Olaboni, will you crank up the slideshow and we'll get rolling? Boom. So I see Kathy Fowler in here. Is Colleen on here as well? Kathy, are you captaining today?
Good morning, everyone. Colleen is actually on vacation
nice.
So a much needed break. And I really just want to thank everyone for your business. Things are picking up like crazy. You probably all saw the news article about Google this morning on Tucson being #1 for home searches. And I also want to let you know that we can do hard copies now for listing books, buyer's books, labels. So just let your title security reps or Colleen and I know what you need, and we're here for you. So that's it for me, Jay. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Can't see is Trisha, do you have anything you want to add to this? Please do.
Yes, I do. I just got off the phone with talking to our escrow manager, and she said we're really close on 2 things that are happening. There's something called Zachem. Some of you've probably heard about it, but it's a way to do earnest money without having to come into the offices and drop them off. It's going to be done an electronic deposit of earnest money. And we're actually working with 3 banks. So we're expecting that that's probably going to be coming certainly within the next 30 days. We'll make sure we're talking to you about that because we want to make sure you're able to use that. And then by week's end, the notary is also going to be, we think by Friday of this week, we may be able to set that up for you, and we will identify that and let you know as soon as we're ready to go. But that's going to be accessible to you, should be by, Marianne said Friday. So as soon as that's available. So we're trying to do as many things as we can so that you don't have to physically be coming into the offices.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Is Heather from 210 on the call?
Heather's here.
Yay.
And
right.
Monica's here. Monica Cunningham, my new assistant. If nobody has met her yet, I am thrilled to pieces. And she's doing a great job on her first week of training. So just a quick little rundown is I just wanted to remind everybody that this part of our home service agreement that's called appliance replacement offer. It's in our home service agreement here. I hope you can all see that. It's been really great for the people that just want to get done with their, let's say for example, they hate their dishwasher and they want nothing to do with that dishwasher. They don't even want to go through the repair to replacement process. Well, they can just let us know. I'd rather go out, buy a brand new dishwasher and go with it. So basically what they can do is submit in a receipt to us, and my company will give back $100 to them. It's called the appliance replacement offer. It's on page 5 of our home service agreement, and I'm happy to send you all an electronic version if this can be helpful in any way. I talked to an agent yesterday who actually had bought for his home and then also his grandparents who have the home warranty, and they were able to get $200 in one household and $100 in another household. It's up to 2 appliance replacements. So definitely take advantage of that. There's so many little perks in working with 210. Also this morning, I talked to Kim Mastro and we talked about seller coverage. She became the hero because she had put seller coverage on one of her listings, and it happened to be that right before they were about to close, the disposal went out. So because she had seller coverage at 210, she placed the service request, placed the pay a $75 service fee, and we replaced the disposal. Kim looked like a hero. Her seller was so thankful that she set up that free seller coverage for her. So really wonderful. Thank you for that tip, Kim. And really glad that that worked out for you because that's what it's all about. So thank you, everybody. I'm here to help you, whatever I can do for you. And just thanks for your support. And I hope you're all healthy and well.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I appreciate it. All right. I think we're going to slide on because we have stats today, so we want to capture as much time. We'll let Lisa introduce Wendy.
Great. Well, we have a new managing broker for the KLP office, and with our new model, she will actually be serving all of 1K WSA. She will be, her name is Wendy Trush. We're so excited to have her with us. She has quite a bit of experience in the Tucson area, and many of you may already know her. So I'm going to let her speak for a few minutes and just introduce herself and say hello to everybody so you can recognize her when you see her.
Good morning, everyone, from over here at the Kolb office. I just wanted to say hello to everybody. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you and helping you in whatever way I can. So please feel free to give me a call. When I answer the broker line, you'll hear the name Wendy and you'll be like, who? And that's me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to helping everybody. And I just have to say, of all the places I've been, the absolute most welcoming group of people I have ever come across. So I have been really thrilled to be here. So that's it for me.
That's awesome. We're very glad to have you. We've obviously already had several different conversations, and it's a pleasure to have you on our team. So good job, Lisa. Good job, Wendy. We appreciate it. Nancy as well. You guys are really doing a great job of servicing our agents and taking care of them, protecting them, and we appreciate you all so much. I believe that is the last slide, if that's accurate, if my memory serves me accurate, although I've given up caffeine over the last 2 days, so that is suspect. But
What?
it is I know, no diet. You see, no diet Dr. Pepper. I'm done. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
We need a moment of silence. Good job, Jay.
I know, it's hard. It's really hard. So, David, do you need to address anything before we?
No, I was just listening in and appreciate it. And I do want to say officially welcome to Wendy. I met her a long time ago. Lisa came to me and said something about interviewing this lady named Wendy Trush. I said absolutely. And so her and I had went through the process about a year ago. Wasn't Wendy a year or two ago? How long ago was that?
Yeah, it was probably, a year or two ago, yeah.
Yeah, and so very excited to be in business with her. She matches our culture, our energy, and just servant leadership. So, she's been learning a lot about our company and the culture. She clearly doesn't need that much education on ADRE and contracts. So that's the best part. So welcome, Wendy and Lisa. Thanks for bringing her on.
Awesome. All right, so without further delay, we're going to welcome Mr. James Werkheiser, who's going to be leading our stats class today. James, it's all yours, and you can start sharing your screen. James.
Uh-oh. It says the host.
There you are.
Attendee screen share.
Whew. You're on, buddy.
Yeah, it says the host is disabled screen sharing, so I'm not sure who the host is.
Heather, can you get allow screen sharing for James?
What do you think of my backdrop here? Huh? Colorado
Okay,
Rockies.
James, try now.
All right. There we go. So 2 sets of stats. We have the regular stats that the MLS puts out, also the new home stats. Questions for the group first. Just to introduce myself, I am with Team Integrity. I've been in real estate now since 2005. I've been on a team since 2007. And on a team, we've consistently helped out 150 plus families a year make moves. And our MLS here in Tucson, we have locations in other areas of the country. They do a phenomenal job of producing statistics for folks. In my opinion, it helps you know your market better than most agents anywhere else in the nation, okay? And I geek out on these stats. It's a good thing to know because the inevitable question that you get in today's market, especially with everything that's going on with COVID and everything, is how's this affecting the market, right? What's going to happen? What's next? Okay. So who here has felt a little dip in the listing side of their business? Just raise your hand. Yeah, we took a little bit of a dip. What's interesting is the buyer side of our business for our team, it accelerated. If anything, it got more robust. Why?
There were suddenly not so many people looking and they thought they had a chance to find something.
And,
They're spending a lot of time online.
probably spending a lot of time with their family, they realized that house was not big enough.
I think a lot of it has to do with the media. Tucson is one of the top 10 that's going to recover the fastest as reported by the media. You know, and the one statistic we already talked about today where it's exciting and people want to get someplace where it's safer. We're more open here. And so I feel more people are heading this way.
Talking to our buyer's agents, I think a big driver for the business is the low interest rates. I mean, that, you know, we're closing people VA loans at sub 3%, on average 3.25% to 3.5%. I mean, that's crazy low. Okay.
That lending window is.
So I'm just going to read the basics here that's highlighted. So April stats. More than 30 million people have become unemployed since COVID-19 has become widespread in the U.S. In the face of these challenging times, real estate activity in April slowed significantly. New listings. Let's go to the highlighted here. Can everybody see this okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're good.
So, gotta move my thing here. New listings down 27.9%. Pending sales down 21.2%. Closed down 21.9%. Days on market down. This is a big one. The inventory down 25.6%. And the month supply of inventory. So the absorption rate. If we stop letting folks list houses today, 1.7 months later, we're out of houses. Right? We saw it coming. You know, we knew everything shut down. Everybody stayed home. I had several folks that didn't want me in their house. No, let's just wait. Let's just wait. Okay. This right here, that down 27.4%. When we talk about pent up demand, who here was in real estate in 2001, right after 9/11? Right. I was in the grocery industry after 9/11. And what happened right after 9/11 is you couldn't use an EBT or a debit card for 3 days across the country. Everything was shut down. We could accept checks and cash at the grocery stores, and that was it. And people freaked out for about 3 weeks, and then the economy just took off, right? What happened in 2008, 9, and 10, that was a different event. That was all attached to housing, right? So who here has listened to that Lawrence Yun podcast with Brian Buffini, right? Great info. If you're going to have a client or a potential seller or buyer talk to you about what's going on with the real estate market, sometimes it's better to have that information come from somebody else that's an expert than you, right? So he says that what happened with the COVID thing here is more like a 9/11 event than attached to housing. Okay, so right here we see a lot of pent up demand, and you can feel it on our team talking to our buyers agents and folks that we talk to, Jess Castillo and I on the listing side of our business. There's a lot of folks that are just holding out, waiting for this to open back up, and then hey, as soon as things get back to the new normal, whatever that looks like, let's put our house back. Let's put our house in the market. Okay. Pending sales down 18.4%. Right? We all expected it. March, everything closed down. Everybody feels it in April, a month later, right? Closed sales, that's a big one, down 19.4%. Days on market. It's interesting what's left, what is left on the market right now. We ask our buyers agents every week in meetings that we have, how many of the homes that you looked at that were on the market today were ready to move into? Who here has looked at homes with folks recently over the past couple of weeks where you're like, good Lord, why did these folks put this house on the market?
Yeah.
Okay. You talked to Juan De La Osa on our team, close to 75% of his business is new construction right now. He says it's just not out there in the resale market, especially in that 200,000 to 400,000 price range. If you get under 200,000, good luck. It's a feeding frenzy on a lot of houses out there, right? So the median sales price, what this means right here is we're going to expect that median sales price to take a little bit of a dip. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Why? Why would the median sales price go down? Anybody? I have one indicator. I live in Rancho Vistoso, and for a long period of time, it's been ground zero, just like Vail, for new construction. We had Meritage, Marikay, Lennar, Mattamy, Richmond American, D.R. Horton, Four Seasons, you name it. Every builder, Pulte, every builder was within a 5-mile radius of my house. At one point, Marikay and Mattamy were pulling down a house every other day in those subdivisions up there for an average base price. They were finishing them in the $750,000 to $900,000 range. Base prices were in the $600 to $700 range. You don't see that anymore up there. D.R. Horton, way out in Saguaro Bloom, building a lot smaller homes again. That subdivision that's on Wilmot, just between I-10 and the train sandwich there, between Base and that La Estancia, same thing. They're building a lot smaller, what would be considered a starter home today, and starting in that 250, 275 range. That's one reason why I judge that median price is going to go down. A lot of the more expensive homes, that's where we're feeling that squeeze coming up in the market. Anybody else have any other insight on that? Oh. It's like crickets out there. Average sales price up 7%. I think that the average sales price, that would be the last thing that would change. The prices are lagging indicators, right? The number of sales will go down, the activity will go down. It takes a lot longer to drag that price down, okay? Percent of list price received, we're still right up there. So the folks that are out there, when you're working with buyers that are like, hey, let's lowball. Hey, that's great. If you want to lowball, that's fine. But did you know that sellers are receiving 98.7% of the list price? Right? Is that from the time that it was listed or from the time that it actually went under contract?
Under contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the only ammo that a buyer would have. Yes, a house might be priced a little bit high, and you'll know when you run those comps. But if you have a solid $250,000 house, it's going to sell really close to that $250,000 price point. Okay.
Well, and James, don't you think that supply and demand is keeping our sales prices up because there's just so much lack of inventory?
Yes. What's interesting is talking to a lot of the builders out there, when you pop by these site sales places, they're not ratcheting prices up as fast as they used to. they're holding those prices level-ish. Like instead of raising them $5,000 every 7 sales, they're raising them 1,500, 2,000. So they're ratcheting it up a lot slower. But you're going to start to see incentives go down and upgrades cost more. So,
But we're also seeing them building a lot more specs as fast as they can.
We'll talk about that in the new home stats too. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at those. It's interesting what's going on in that market. And I actually know personally the sales manager for KB, and they're a highlight on those new stats, new home stats. So it'll be interesting to talk about that too. So the housing affordability index, that when you talk about Tucson, that is why a lot of folks are wanting to make a move here. Taxes are low. You know, Jody's right. You listen to the news, we're going to recover very quickly. It's pretty much business as usual here, except for a lot of restaurants, and even them, they're starting to open up this last week and this week. So things are really starting to get back to business as usual, right? You know, Tucson's always going to be a $250,000 to $300,000 town. Between retirement and Caterpillar and Amazon and Target and Raytheon and the base, and I mean, there's just so much opportunity here for the economy. We could take a hit and come back a lot faster because of that.
HJ James.
Yes.
I want to jump in here real quick. I don't know if anybody else in the meeting here this morning saw this, but I'm just going through some news articles. And the headline from a KVOA report, Tucson ranks #1 in Google searches for homes for sale since the start of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. So this is what people feel, okay? When you look at this, we'll spend a little bit of time on this page right here. 1,997 homes on the market. A healthy market here for Tucson is somewhere between 4,500 and 5,500 homes on the market at any given time. That's balanced, that's fair, we can go look at a home this weekend and not have to write an offer the first minute that we see it because somebody else is gonna already be in the house, okay? Balanced. To put that in perspective, back up here in April of 2007, there was 10,387 homes on the market, way up here, right? Then the market fell off a cliff, and now here we are, 1,997 homes. So when Jody talked about that supply and demand, that's it. That's what you're seeing right there. We cannot, new construction folks cannot build homes fast enough. And in my opinion, they're staying really smart with that. A lot of them are building specs, but they're building them, they're not building way too many. They have to keep their trades busy. They're not gonna finish out a subdivision in the first week. You know, they're not gonna sell all the prime lots right out of the chute. They're being a lot smarter about it because they're controlling the inventory, they're controlling their trades, they're controlling their, that supply chain, so to speak, of homes. So I think that's where we're still behind with home ownership rates here in Tucson. So, you know, when folks talk about how is COVID going to affect the market, right? How is COVID going to affect the market? The reason that I have this baseball thing behind me, in my opinion, it's like a rain delay at a baseball game. Everybody's in the dugout, waiting for the rain to stop. The tarp is over the field. The sun came out. The guys swept off all the water off the tarp. They rolled it up. Everybody's going to jump out of that dugout and jump back into the game, right? And I think it's going to be busier than ever. We have started to feel it as a team right now. We have people coming out of the woodwork wanting to put their house on the market, okay? We have people coming out of the woodwork wanting to take advantage of the low interest rates, all right? Hey, the world's not ending. Things are coming back together. Let's go buy and sell houses, right? The lowest inventory ever, right? And the lack of new listings too, that I think also for us, we have a lot of folks that, yeah, I want to put my house on the market, and 4 weeks later, the house is ready to go live. I don't know how many of you meet with people to list their house where their house is ready to take pictures the next day, right? So we have for us as a team, we have a backlog of folks that are getting ready to go on the market. We have folks going live tomorrow that I met with 2 months ago or less, just a little bit less, that are ready to go live today. Okay, so I think you'll see that too. You'll see the listing inventory really pick up over the next few weeks. Raise your hand if you have a listing going live in the next few weeks. Yeah, right. They're coming. They're coming quick. Okay. Questions on these guys? Great information to know, because every seller, everybody that I talk to when I'm just chatting with folks and checking in with family and friends and everything, hey, how's the real estate business? It's interesting. They either say, hey, I hear real estate is just cranking right along. You must be doing great, right? Or it's the exact opposite. Wow, you guys must be doing horrible. Nobody wants to buy or sell a house right now. For me, it's rare that I see that in between, right? So just being able to not give them your opinion, but just give them the facts. Hey, you know what? It's been pretty much business as usual. Our team put 82 people under contract in March. Yes, we took a little bit of a dip in April. We only put 58 families under contract in April. Oh, dang, right? It slowed down a little bit, but not much. Right? So, yeah, if you lost your job, or if a family member lost their job, or somebody got sick or whatever, I'm really sorry. We haven't had, as a team, we haven't had a real estate conversation with somebody that we initiated for over 2 months. All it's been is just checking in on folks. How you doing? And if they want to talk about real estate, they bring it up, and we go from there. Okay. New home stats. I'm going to have some folks read some parts of this for me, so you guys don't hear me blabbing up here for the whole time. So the first highlighted area, I'm going to pick on Larry, since I see him front and center here. Larry, would you mind reading this despite the dower permit section there?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, other than the fact that your picture is part of the text.
Oh.
Got to figure out can you scroll it down just a little bit?
Yeah. You got it there?
The other way, I'm sorry. Scroll it the other way. Just right there.
Okay.
Despite the dower permit and resale numbers that we have reported to you for April and the constant drumbeat of discouraging economic news, we found the land guys and builders that we talked with over just the last several days to be optimistic about both the near and long-term future of the Tucson housing market. The economic potential of this marketplace has seldom been more dynamic, and there will be a time when the current pandemic diminishes and Tucson's economic activity reawakens. There are just too many long-term positives to ignore.
That's what I think is key. Too many long-term positives. Hey folks, let's think about the long game. Okay. I lost it here. All right. So the reason I went to that is because if you just told somebody that when they're talking about what's going on with the market, new home escrow closings were the bright spot for Tucson new housing in April, as the COVID-19 impact was felt in new home permits and in resale closings. New home escrow closings were up 14% over last April and almost 22% year to date over the same period. Okay. This is where it was interesting. New home permits felt the brunt of the pandemic. Talking to Andrew, who's a sales manager for KB, they shut down for a few weeks. They just stopped. They stopped production. They stopped everything. Juan on our team, all of our agents, they have interacted with every builder out there. They're the only ones I know of that stopped production for everything. Everybody else is pretty much business as usual. Okay. Permits dropped 38.59% for the month, but even so remained positive for the year to date. Okay. They also talk about resales in the Tucson market also fell dramatically with 1,569 closings for the month versus 1,967 for last April, a 20% decline. Okay. But this is a big one. This is where that pent up demand is going to kick in too. So you're going to see the builders really start ramping it up. So if you're not showing your clients new construction as a buyer's agent, I tell my, I'm not a buyer's agent anymore, but when I was a buyer's agent, I would just tell folks, hey, I'm not doing my job if I'm not showing you new construction. That's it. You know, if you'll know if you like it, great. If not, that's fine. But I'm not doing my job if I'm not showing you the new construction. Okay. So in last month's Tucson market letter, we shared a graphic where we projected 6 different scenarios for the potential impact of COVID-19. We offered that graphic so we could all keep track of the range of the possible effects on the new home side of the Tucson marketplace, not as a forecast, but as a gauge of what the impact on 2020 market performance would be if we saw any of the projections reach fruition. At the same time, it is essential to remember that 1 or 2 months decline in permits or closings does not in itself mean that the same rate of decline will continue for the remainder of the year. As we noted earlier, the home builders we have talked with over the last several days have been generally optimistic that we may have just seen the worst of the decline in permit activity and should see it in the next month or two's data. Okay? So it's just like that baseball game, that rain delay in that baseball game. They're pulling the tarp off, sun's out, everybody's getting a hot dog, grabbing a beer, and jumping back in the game. Okay? So, yep, you can see that number right there. It was expected. Right? It was expected that things were going to slow down. Okay? Resale, same thing. We expected it to slow down. What'll be interesting to see is when we have this stats class in October, November, when we look back at July, August, and September, I would venture to guess that the majority of us on this call will have had the best 3 months of a lot of our real estate careers. Go get it. This is a valuable insight for builders in the process of designing and reviewing their product positioning strategies as we emerge from the challenges of the pandemic. Right? There's between that $200,000 and $400,000 price point, just like we talked about, that is another reason why I think the median price is going to be drugged down. A lot of the builders are pumping houses out between that $400,000 and $600,000, and now they're dragging them back between 2 and 4, and a lot closer to the 250s, 300s. Okay. And then you see that same activity, the average sales price here or average square footage of a home here in Tucson. Interesting stats. When we send these stats out to you, take them, print them off, because when you go up against another agent, especially if you're being interviewed for a listing or for a buyer, we have buyer's agents that are being interviewed too. Most agents have the Tucson stats. Very, very few have these. Okay, so it's an extra bit of information that can put you ahead of somebody else. Okay, this is interesting. The average sales price in different areas. Right? Remember what I talked about in Oro Valley? You're starting to see this squeeze. Okay, but look at Vail. You talk to Juan on our team. Once again, I can't tell you how many contracts he has going right now between La Estancia and along that Marianne, Cleveland, and Houghton corridor right now. It's crazy. Right? But really take some time to dig into these stats. When you talk about the new versus resale median price, same thing, the average versus the median resale price, that the resale homes are just at a different level. I'm sorry, I had that backwards. The new homes are just at a different level, and it makes sense. Right? So that's where you see that gap. Here's interesting, the April top 10 builders by permits, right? You don't even see KB on this list because they stopped, right? But the closings, these guys are always in the top, right? D.R. Horton, Mattamy, Meritage, right?
Hey, James, was
Yes.
there discussion? Have you guys heard any discussion on, number one, why KB came to that conclusion while none of the other builders felt it necessary? And number two, is it going to give any long-term ramifications?
No, they just stopped production. It was a very brief time. From my understanding, it was 3 weeks, and that was it. But during that time, they just stopped pulling permits. They were finishing houses. At one point, they weren't going to let one of our clients do a final walkthrough on a house that was already finished.
Oh, wow.
And that's how we ended up having that conversation with Andrew. Is we're like, hey, I get it, and you want to keep folks safe, but these folks gotta have a place to live. So, and it wasn't coming locally. It was a national decision.
Sean Edgar posted in the chat that KB's being cautious because they got burned in the previous downturn, so they may have a little quicker trigger.
Yeah, because when you talk about what happened in 2010, I mean, a lot of folks remember a lot of these builders just went dark here in town.
Yeah,
there's very few national builders that were left here that were still building, or even buying new land.
Walked away from Saguaro Bloom.
KB walked away from that. Now D.R. Horton's out there tearing it up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you look at this, you'll see like Pulte when it comes to closings because they pulled a lot of permits. Same with Robeson. Meritage has always been up there. So you might see these two flip-flop depending on how many permits they pull. But when you look at the number of permits, we talked about La Estancia, entry price, the Robeson communities, that's always a different animal. Those retirement communities, if you work in those communities, you realize a lot of those are a lot of cash sales. A little different animal. They always stay very, very steady when it comes to that. I was chatting with somebody that does a lot of work in one of those retirement communities the other day. And, I don't think people realize how many folks are buying a new home in one of those communities that are already own one in the community. Like a lot of folks will sell a older home in a Saddlebrook Ranch and move to a new home in the same community. So interesting. Yeah, take a look at these stats, really dig into them, because back to the beginning, so many folks, when you're talking to them, ask what's going on with the market. How is COVID gonna affect it? What does it mean for me? How are you doing? I get a lot of that, how are you doing? How's your business doing? Just being able to spit out facts and numbers like this and show it to them, send them this. I send folks this all the time, right? I have, even with these highlights and notes on them, I have my own set of ones with highlighted notes and everything. Just send it to them. It gives you something to follow up with them again in a couple of days. Hey, do you get a chance to take a look at that? And go from there. So I know it's kind of short and sweet today with this. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a question, and I've kind of posed this to a group earlier, but so in the resale area, there were double-digit negatives, essentially for the main 6 categories. Closed units, closed volume, listings taken, all that. But we posted double-digit increases for the month of April. So I'm really trying to dig down and get what activities were we doing that brought about those results? So what were you guys doing? And if anyone else has, what were you doing to be able to achieve a double-digit increase when the rest of the market was feeling a double-digit loss?
I can speak for us and our team personally. It was just staying engaged with our clients. Like we made it a point to pick up the phone. So many times you email or text or Facebook message a past client. we made it a point to pick up the phone. And it was a very easy script. Hey, Jay, this is James. How you been? Hi, James.
Good.
Hey, I know we usually text or Facebook back and forth, but I feel like you deserve a phone call. How's your family? Right? And that was it. That's been our script for 2 months. Right? And then if they want to talk about real estate, we go from there.
Yeah. Would you say it's not too late for agents to still employ that script?
Nope. Yeah. Mm-mm.
So if you haven't made the calls, now it's still time to do it. The window probably will close for that to be an effective call, but you still have time to make that call, to reach out to your database and make that just care call to establish that. Would you agree? Anybody else have any ideas of how did you do it? How did we do it?
Hey, Jay.
Yeah.
I really think the way we did it was that we jumped on top of it as fast as possible and kept all our agents engaged by giving them multiple different opportunities to support their business. We had Zoom meetings the first week, and we just kept increasing and increasing. We had script practice for those who wanted to come every single day. We had a ramp up every single day. There were many brokers that reached out to us and said, okay, what are you guys going to implement? And I meant, what do you mean what we're going to implement? You know, that was 2 or 3 or 4 weeks into it. And we'd already implemented and moved forward, and business as usual, we're essential, and let's keep going and moving and supporting our clients. And I think it was the support of Keller Williams Southern Arizona that benefited all of us to continue doing business at a high level.
I agree with that. Thank you. Anyone else?
I think some of these stats are still reflecting some of the business that was generated January, February before everything slowed down. As far as Keller Williams is concerned, we came out of the gate at the beginning of the year. This company is doing stuff that other brokers, don't do at all. But just the fact that Keller Williams is always aggressive on all of this stuff. We were set up to do closings over the past couple of months.
I would agree, but I would also put the caveat that, these are historically large numbers for us. So something else occurred as well. Like, I agree, it's a 90-day window, right? It's a peek into that 90-day window, but were we excelling at such a high level in January, February that it's just continuing to crush through? And that's probably some of the case.
I think that that's a big part of the case, because I know just for Andres and I going into this, we had more under contract than we've had for the previous 5 months. And I think that's just carrying us through, but we continued to work. We didn't stop working. We didn't let it slow us down.
Yeah.
Mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the I think I talking to different agents, like, what is my job? It is very interesting because we've been talking about a shift for a good while. So I think our agents were already conditioned to think that way, and like, okay. And when we said, here's shift, it's shifting now, we shifted quickly. And there were a lot of agents, I think, that took a snow day or a snow month. And it's lingering now. So this is just still an incredible time. And I agree with you, James. It's not going to slow down. It's going to pick up. So now's the time to really get going. If you haven't made those calls, get engaged and make those calls. They're not going to be like, oh, you didn't call me 2 weeks ago. They're going to be thankful that you're calling them.
Jay, I don't think that we can underestimate the pent-up frustration. There are a lot of people that have spent the last 60 plus days in small homes that all of a sudden became home offices, homeschooling, living, entertainment, and they're realizing that where they're living may not be big enough for what they really need it to be. We've also got a lot of people coming from out of state. I'm hearing, the word's out that quote unquote heat kills the virus.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's true, but it's a myth or a legend, and we're getting a lot of inquiries from a lot of different states, people wanting to move here. Albuquerque just closed their Raytheon plant. They're moving 2,000 people to Tucson. I mean, there's a perfect storm brewing for the Tucson market that we're just going to get an avalanche of buyers.
So where are the houses going to come from to sell them is the big question right now, right?
Yeah, I've got my crews working overtime trying to get all the flips finished that I've got under construction.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's why James I think is all over it, where that storm is coming, and the builders obviously see that. So they're going to be ramping up. I saw Pastor Kim put that he's been trying to show some homes in Sorrel Bloom, but the sales prices keep going up. This is probably going to help stabilize that, because they got to get homes built and sold. And then hopefully we'll tend to see more listings come on, because they're able to maximize their sale price. So.
Well, and Jay, our biggest challenge with the listings coming on is those people have to move somewhere.
Yes.
And that's our biggest challenge, is where are they going to move and how are we going to protect them? Because if we sell their house out from under them before we know where they're going to go, that's going to be our biggest challenge, is getting them into something else.
Yeah.
And so we really have to be careful and protect those sellers when they become our buyers by strategically putting that plan together.
Yeah. Yep. And that's where being a professional realtor is different than being, hey, let me help you find a house. Right.
Right.
Hey, Jay, something that hasn't been mentioned yet that comes to mind is that whenever we have uncertainty in our economy and in the housing market, people tend to be less likely to just use their friend or their neighbor. They tend to be more likely to want to use someone who they perceive to be an expert, someone that has market expertise, someone that has a proven track record. And I think when we present ourselves to people like that, when we tell them what our track record is, and we're having those meaningful conversations and asking good questions to the expireds and the for sale by owners, they're more attracted to us and to working with us when we present ourselves that way. I think that could have something to do with our recent success.
Yeah. I mean, right now, everyone should be showing this thing, right? There are these lower numbers. It should be in your listing presentation, right? Any other questions or thoughts? This is all good commentary. James, you have anything else we need to cover before you wrap up?
I just thank everybody for going to work, because really that's what it's about. I mean, I think, I don't know who said it, but a lot of agents, I think, got scared, whether they liked it or not. They might have had to.
Yeah.
If my wife was the breadwinning real estate agent in our family, we would have taken this last month off. I got 3 young kids that are being homeschooled. It was a crap show at our house, right? So,
and that's a great point, James.
On the flip side of that, show some grace to those agents out there that might be frustrated. I've received it. I've been on the receiving end of that. Stop, count to 5 before you blast somebody back, because you never know what's going on in their life right now. When you talk about that level of stress that's going on in people's lives, let's eat that for these other agents out there right now and be above board, and they'll come back and apologize later. Okay, that's my advice for the day.
Whoop. All right, guys, if there's no other questions or comments, I think we're going to wrap up. I hope you guys got some great value today. Thank you, James, for bringing all the information. Make sure you print out those packets, or at least save them and review them. I agree with James. Take time to review these stats so that you can be a more knowledgeable agent to your clients.
TJ?
Yes.
Just one other thing, I want to echo Aaron Wilson, usually in these stats meetings. All the stats we just looked at, everybody keep in mind, that's 30 days ago. that's not telling us where the market is going. It's showing us where it has been. It's up to us to make it clear to our clients and the people we're talking to where we believe things are going, and we're seeing where it's going, that business is picking up. You know, we as a company are alive and well and moving forward and so on. But I'm in a situation right now where someone wants to argue these stats, and it's like, well, no, that's 30 days ago. We have to look at what's happening today, because, you know, right now the $200,000 homes are just, you know, 1 day, 2 days on the market and they're gone.
Yep, that's true and good advice. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate all your time. I hope you got value today. Again, we thank everyone for participating. Everybody say hi to Wendy on their way out, and we'll see you guys soon. Have a great day. Have a productive day.